The desire to become a nurse was influenced by my father being hospitalized and the attention I got from one of the nurses at that time, who took the time to talk to me, and being in the hospital frequently because my mother would take my sister and me when she would visit my dad before he died. It was something about the environment that I found fascinating, and it started my desire to become a nurse. That was the beginning. And I made it happen by going to the Air Force after I finished high school, and I was a medic in the Air Force. And when I would tell the nurses who worked in the hospital where I was assigned that I wanted to be a nurse, they reinforced my desire by telling me things like, oh, you'll make an excellent nurse. And it was because of the skills that I demonstrated. And I guess the interpersonal relationship that I was able to develop with patients who were in the hospital when I was in the Air Force. I attended Tuskegee University, and at that time, I went to Tuskegee because once I was discharged from the Air Force, I had applied to several hospital schools of nursing, and I was not accepted. And it was because of a quota system. They would admit 1 or 2 black nurses. And it really was a blessing in disguise that I wasn't admitted. But one director of nursing who interviewed me for their program in New Jersey, a hospital school of nursing, 3-year program. You wouldn't even get an AA degree. They didn't even have AA degree programs. But she said to me, my dear, I don't think you have the potential for becoming a nurse. Why don't you consider something clerical? It's like, huh? I was so hurt. And when I graduated and walked across the stage to get my diploma for the baccalaureate degree in nursing, I thought about that nurse, and I would frequently tell students that story to tell them that someone else can't tell you what you have the potential of doing. Most of the black nurses went to baccalaureate programs because those were at black colleges in the South, and they had been started because of segregation, and frequently they were started by churches who recognized this is something we need to do for our community. If those people won't allow us to come to their universities in large numbers, we can become our own educators. And so you had the Meharry, you had the Tuskegee, you had the Florida A&M, Tennessee State. Yes, schools in Louisiana, started by black people who went to white colleges and who came back to the black community to make a contribution. Very supportive. And I say that because they knew that once you graduated, you were going to be competing with people who didn't look like you, who had certain expectations of you, both negative and positive. Many of them recognized that you didn't have the skill set that you needed, and would let you know that I'm teaching you how to do something, and here you're being paid more than I am, but I don't have the degree you have. And they were right. We didn't have the technical experience, but our dean also prepared us for that. But she said, you will have the breadth of knowledge that your counterpart will not have, because they went to a 3-year hospital school of nursing where they didn't take courses in psychology, sociology, philosophy. So you had the potential for learning those technical skills. You may have given one enema. Who learns how to give an enema by doing it once? But if that's all you were allowed to do, then you had to learn once you got out there. And of course, I'm sure a lot of mistakes were made as you learned. But you also encountered nurses who recognized you didn't have the technical skills and were willing to help you. So it could work either way. I have to admit, I felt out of place because I was 21 when I started. My classmates were 17 and 18, having just finished high school. And after I thought about it, I realized and I convinced myself, you're smarter than they are because you're 21 and because you're here because you want to be here, not because your parents are paying for you. I'm paying for myself. Once I turned it around in my head, I was good. It gave me 3 years of life experiences that helped me realize nursing is really what I wanted and that it wouldn't necessarily be easy. And that was good, that it was up to me. That was good also. Yeah, the 3 years to mature, just life experiences. Meeting people from different parts of the United States who had never had a black friend, but now we're in the Air Force together. And when I would say things about what it's like for me to go into the city, many of them couldn't comprehend because they had come from states like Pennsylvania. Even though their parents were coal miners, they hadn't interacted with black people or had not seen black people being treated like I had been treated coming from the South. So that was eye-opening for them and for me too. It's like, what do you mean you can't go and sit down? Well, I can. Why? Because of black. I'm black. We didn't say black then. It was Negro. Because they could not comprehend that. What do you mean you have to go to the back door and you're given your food? That was new for them. As a matter of fact, we all passed state boards because we were well prepared. As a matter of fact, one of the things that our dean did at Tuskegee was to recognize we would not get the breadth of nursing experiences in the small black hospital at Tuskegee, segregated, small hospital. She arranged for us to go to a county hospital for 2 semesters in New York, in Brooklyn. Once we came back for our senior year, we were prepared. We knew because it was a hospital nursing program there. And for her to do that and hire her own 2 faculty members who I guess had worked at Kings County, I'm not sure, but those were nurses who had the skills and who were committed to help the nursing students from Tuskegee. Of course, they had other nursing students there, but these were our teachers for the students from Tuskegee. The other nursing students had their own faculty member. Oh, not nursing, but cultural. I can remember when we first got there, if we went from Brooklyn to New York City, where the action was, the Palladium Theater, dancing, Latin music. We didn't call it salsa. What did they call it? Mambo. I love Latin music now, and it's because of hearing the greats back in the late 50s. I graduated in 60. Not speaking Spanish, learning a few phrases because there were a lot of Puerto Ricans there, and you'd go in and say good morning in Spanish, and the patient would think you knew Spanish because you've learned a few phrases, and then they start rattling off and you don't know what they're saying. That sticks out. But I can remember seeing my first Broadway play written by a black woman, as a matter of fact. A Raisin in the Sun by Lorraine Hansberry. Just to see a play written by a black woman in the 1950s, unheard of. And then fast forward to come to Los Angeles and meet Mamie Hansberry, who is the sister of that person, and to be able to say, I saw your sister's play, and I saw it more than once because it became so popular. It was actually made into a movie. I think Sidney Poitier was the star in it, but yeah. I actually saw a documentary about Lorraine Hansberry, who died at 36 years old from some form of cancer, but very talented. And her sister is an artist. She's a painter. And when I saw the sister, before I knew that this was Lorraine Hansberry's sister, I was struck by how elegant this lady looked and how she was dressed and the colors and all. And then I noticed all these people around her. Oh, Miss Hansberry, this. And when I heard her name, it's like, oh my goodness. So when no one was around her, I said, excuse me, but I heard all these people calling you Miss Hansberry. Would you happen to be related to Lorraine Hansberry? She said, that was my sister.